Mary had a little lamb.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
As you will see in the hearings to come, President Trump believed his supporters at the Capitol, and I quote, "We're doing what they should be doing." This is what he told his staff as they pleaded with him to call off the mob.
I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bullshit.
I respect Attorney General Barr, so I accepted what he was saying.
Do you swear and affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I saw friends with blood all over their faces. I was slipping in people's blood. You know, I was catching people as they fell. It was carnage. It was chaos.
I documented the crowd turn from protesters to rioters to insurrectionists.
Tonight, I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
So we just saw opening statements last night. I hope everybody understands in context what we're doing. That was they are prosecuting Donald J. Trump in public. They are prosecuting his crimes against the Constitution of the United States. They are prosecuting him for crimes against the country, for defrauding and conspiring to defraud the United States of America under 18 U.S.C. Section 371 and obstructing a congressional proceeding under 18 U.S.C. Section 1512. They are prosecuting him for dereliction of duty, for not, defending the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and also for conspiring with those enemies, those domestic terrorists of the United States, to do domestic terror, to actually do that. And so all we saw last night, believe it or not, even though it was breathtaking, was opening statements. That's it. That's all we saw. So for people who've never been to a court proceeding or just, need a little refresher, that means that they laid out last night what they intend to prove, and only what they can prove according to the evidence that they have amassed over the last year. Okay? And what Liz Cheney is explaining to us happened with regard to what the president did, was a corrupt, deceitful, organized conspiracy to defraud the United States out of the results of a free and fair election, and remain in power in violation of the will of the people. Okay. And she said that this was exactly what we had told, for, I don't know, I'm going to say the last year, because this has been going on a year and a half. And about a year ago, we understood that there were two coups. We understood that there was a bloodless attempt that involved pressure, threats, fraudulent information, lying to the American people, which actually is prosecutable under this U.S. 18 U.S.C. Section 371, which is conspiring to defraud the United States. What you need to show in regarding 371's intent requirement is that conspiracies to defraud the United States include plots entered into for the purpose of impairing, obstructing, or defeating the lawful functions of any department of the U.S. government using deceit, craft, or trickery, or means that are dishonest. So that's why it was so important to show that Donald Trump knew what he was saying to us as a population, knew what he was saying was a lie. That's the first entry point into prosecuting him. And of course, Congress doesn't have prosecutorial powers. Congress can't, at the end of this, turn it over to some mystical jury that isn't there. We're the jury. We are. And so the best that we can hope for at the end of this is a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. So everybody last night was saying to each other, Merrick Garland, call your office, because if they prove this case, which I have no doubt they can and will after 1,000 witnesses have testified to them, and they are showing us the depositions. And what's crazy about the depositions is these are the allies. These are Trump loyalists. This is Bill Barr. This is a guy named Alex Cannon who worked for the Trump Organization and then went to work for Donald Trump. He testified, to the lawyers investigating January 6th. And it was shown to us last night that he had told Mark Meadows, he had told the chief of staff to the president of the United States, that there was no fraud. There was no there. There was nothing that they were finding. Nothing. They were finding nothing. And then Bill Barr, he said that he had told Donald Trump as early as November and then again in December on 2 subsequent dates in December that this was bullcrap, that there was nothing there, that there was no fraud, that it was a lie. And then he quit because he said he didn't want to be part of this. And this is a man who said,
I think spying did occur.
This is a man who said, I think spying occurred. There was no spying, as we now know. Okay. The Durham report. Yeah, he's done. The Durham report. It's done. There was no spying. And the one guy he thought he had dead to rights for lying to the FBI, Mr. Sussman, was acquitted. Never lied to anybody about any damn thing. So that's the end of that investigation. So Bill Barr, who is notoriously deceptive, was now under oath and swore to tell the truth and isn't going to go to jail for Donald Trump. So he told the truth. He told the truth about Dominion. He told the truth about not finding any election fraud. He told the truth about telling Donald Trump that this was a waste of time. It was bullcrap. This didn't deserve anybody's attention or time. And Trump literally decided he was going to find loyalists. He was going to put people in the Attorney General of the United States. He was going to put somebody friendly to him. He went all the way deep inside the Department of Justice to find himself an environmental lawyer named Jeffrey Clark. And Jeffrey Clark said he would do it. He would prosecute it. He would write letters to the states, telling the states that the feds, the Department of Justice, had found suspicious activity or had found concerns that they had about the election results. And he was willing to put his name on a letter like that. And everybody inside the White House, and now we know that that is true, said they would all resign en masse, sending a signal out to the media, sending a signal out to the American people that this Jeffrey Clark guy was dirty and was being handpicked to write these letters on behalf of a lie that Donald Trump wanted to deceive the American people with. I mean, this is amazing. And so when the bloodless coup failed, when they couldn't get the states to find them votes, when they couldn't find somebody that was acceptable to the entire Department of Justice, to anybody, to Rosen, to anybody, and they were all threatening to quit if they put this environmental dude in there who was willing to lie over his signature. Donald Trump then went to friendly news outlets like Fox News and Steve Bannon and, other people, and put Peter Navarro on TV and others and Rudy Giuliani and put them on TV to say Dominion was vote flipping. It was the machines, and that we should actually seize the machines. We should seize them, which is what Michael Flynn said in public.
all things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Attorney General Barr also told President Trump that his allegations about Dominion voting machines were groundless.
I saw absolutely zero basis for the allegations, but they were made in such a sensational way that they obviously were influencing a lot of people, members of the public, that there was this systemic corruption in the system and that their votes didn't count and that these machines controlled by somebody else were actually determining it, which was complete nonsense. And it was being laid out there. And I told them that it was crazy stuff and they were wasting their time on that. And it was doing a grave disservice to the country.
But President Trump persisted, repeating the false Dominion allegations in public at least a dozen more times, even after his attorney general told him they were, quote, complete nonsense. And after Barr's resignation on December 23rd, the acting attorney general who replaced him, Jeff Rosen, and the acting deputy, Richard Donahue, told President Trump over and over again that the evidence did not support allegations he was making in public. Many of President Trump's White House staff also recognized that the evidence did not support the claims President Trump was making. This is the president's daughter commenting on Bill Barr's statement that the department found no fraud sufficient to overturn the election.
How did that affect your perspective about the election when Attorney General Barr made that statement?
It affected my perspective. I respect Attorney General Barr. So I accepted what he was saying.
She's out of the well. You know, Donald Trump was angry last night. You know he was. And she's done. She's out of the well. There is no way. But, you know, who cares about that, right? This is a crime against all of us in the United States of America. This is not a property crime, okay? This is a seditious conspiracy. This is one of the biggest charges that you could level against a person in the United States. And, you know, people are like, well, what about Portland? Well, first of all, they were prosecuted in Portland. And just because you don't know about that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So you did have, you know, almost 24 people, you know, that were in Portland that were rioters. They've been charged and they were prosecuted in Portland. But you also had in Portland the Proud Boys, which no one wants to talk about. You also had in Portland Proud Boys sniping. They were snipers on the roof in Portland. You also had Umbrella Man in Detroit, who started the looting and started the fires. Turned out that he was a white supremacist dressed up like Antifa in a black outfit. Okay, they called him Umbrella Man because he was shielding his identity from the cameras, from the closed, circuit cameras that were filming him, and he was, you know, smart enough to know that they were filming him. And you had a little pizza guy say, "Who the hell are you? Are you a cop? What are you doing?" And the guy was just pounding on the AutoZone window, just breaking the glass and starting the looting in Detroit. That guy was prosecuted too, but it turns out that he's a white supremacist. So please do not, compare a property crime with something that was a reaction to something that really happened, which was the audacious murder of an innocent black man named George Floyd, with an arrogant police officer putting his knee on this man's neck and choking him out for over 9 minutes on camera, staring into the lens of somebody's, iPhone. Like, you can't touch me. I'm doing this anyway. I'm killing this guy, and I'm going to get away with it. That kind of arrogance. That's what the Black Lives Matter protests were responding to, something that really happened. Here you have protesters who are beating bloody police officers, who are literally, you had 9 people dead. People ask me all the time, well, no one died. What are you, insane? Do you read much? Where do you get your information? I swear to God, it's such a black hole out there with people that want to support a man who is a traitor to our way of life. a traitor to the Constitution, a traitor to our ideal that we can self-govern. This is what this man is. The man wanted to stay in power, period, by hook or by crook. And if he could radicalize a bunch of violent insurrectionists, a bunch of white supremacists, a bunch of, Christian chauvinists, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, but basically just a group of domestic terrorists, and radicalize them and tell them they needed to fight like hell and that he was going to be with them, which was a lie too. And they would beat police officers and act like the zombie apocalypse, then you're cool with that. But property crime seems to really set you off.
It sets him off. I'm getting multiple calls. This last one is from Mississippi calling back. I really hope he was listening because you just explained it to this gentleman in Mississippi. Hopefully he won't have to call back anymore.
The district attorney's office in Multnomah County announced charges against 10 suspects following grand jury indictments. Maximilian Ryan Jennings, 23. James Walker Prettyman, 25. Thomas Mole Rock, 34. They were charged with felony riot, felony first-degree criminal mischief, second-degree criminal mischief. 3 were indicted over accusations they were part of a black-clad mob that broke the windows on the county Democrats' headquarters on November 8th. I mean, please, just because you don't know that they were prosecuted doesn't mean it didn't happen. Stop being stupid and stop comparing property crime, looting, with an attempt to overthrow the U.S. government by the President of the United States of America. Jeez, God, where did your logic and reason go? How do you look at these two things? Listen, it just reminds me of one of these things is not like the other. Looting sucks, but trying to overthrow the United States government by force because a president of the United States of America wants to, he wants to stay in office. That has never happened. It is unprecedented. It is unbelievable. And when you look at the zombie apocalypse, how could you say this was okay? Look at this. Oh my God.
People. These were great people. The crowd was unbelievable. And I mentioned the word love. The love in the air. I've never seen anything like it.
That is so sick. That is like the undead. One woman was actually, she died of a meth overdose in the crowd. Roseanne Boyland. Does anybody know her name that's calling me for the facts? Yeah, Roseanne Boyland, she was crushed in the stampede, and the coroner ruled that it was an accidental overdose, meth, Kevin Greeson died of a heart attack. He collapsed on the sidewalk. Benjamin Phillips, he was the founder of a pro-Trump website. He died, he gets stroked out in the middle of all this chaos. When does that happen?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844.
Summer Pledge Drive, everybody. Summer Pledge Drive. This is so that the people who work in Denver, Colorado at Free Speech TV can get paid. That is what this is about. Because we are a not-for-profit. Free Speech TV is. You can donate today. It is a match day, by the way. Anything that you donate today will be matched up to $50,000. $50,000. You can call 877-378-8669, and you can donate that way. And if you do call that way, there's a special little thing today that you can get. It is a, backed by popular demand, and while supplies last, a Dump Trump toilet paper roll. So you can wipe your bunda with that man. That's big fun. That's to the first 66 people who dial in today at 877-378-8669. First 66 people who donate $30 or more, you will get yours in the mail. But you have to do that by phone because it's a limited edition, and there are limited numbers of bunderolls for you. You can contact us at freespeech.org to make a donation too. And if you want to do it that way, then you can get, for $20, you can get the Pride Month Coolzy, which is a very, very cool little thing to keep your beers cold at the poolside. There it is, right on the screen. And for $50 or more, you can get a superhero tote bag, because that is what you are to us, superheroes, for keeping this particular experiment on the air for 25 years. So thank you very much. Text if you want. Also, 44321 is the number you put in, and then put FSTV after you do 44321, and we'll send you a secure link. And you can donate that away. All right, so these are Trump allies under oath, testifying about when they talked to Trump to tell him what he was doing was deceitful, what he was doing was deceiving the American people, defrauding the American people, lying to the American people, getting their panties in a bunch about something that did not happen. Voter fraud. I had 3 discussions with the president that I can recall. One was on November 23rd, one was on December 1st, and one was on December 14th. And I've been through sort of the give and take of those discussions. And in that context, I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bullshit. And, I didn't want to be a part of it, and that's one of the reasons that went into me deciding to leave when I did. I observed, I think it was on December 1st, that, how can you can't live in a world where the incumbent administration stays in power based on its view, unsupported by specific evidence, that there was fraud in the election. You can't have a president of the United States of America remain in power based on his view that he deserves to be the president with absolutely no indication from the people that that's what their will was. That is not a constitutional republic. That is a dictatorship. That is an autocracy. That is not America. That is something else. That could be Hungary. That could be Russia. It could be whatever your fantasies are most afraid of, but it ain't America. That is not American. That is crazy. And then after Bill Barr actually talked to Donald Trump on November 23rd, that's how long this lie was debunked to him over and over and over again by Jason Miller, by Alex Cannon, by Bill Barr, by Mark Meadows knew. Everybody knew. Everybody was telling him this was garbage, this was junk. Even Ivanka knew. Ivanka said she accepted what Bill Barr said was true and that her father was a big fat liar. I don't think that was a stretch for her. But then they started talking about, all right, well, here's what we can do after. This is also part of the bloodless coup. The bloodless part. They had a meeting at the White House on December 19th. Rudy Giuliani, that crazy Kraken lawyer, Sidney Powell. These people, by the way, can't practice law anymore because they lied to courts. They brought 60 cases knowing what they were representing to the courts were lies. Lies. Okay? I got affidavits. Remember her? So they had a meeting at the White House on December 19th. Sidney Powell and Michael Flynn, some really mentally depraved people. And they plotted to seize the voting machines. Seriously.
On December 18th, 2020, a group, including General Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, and others, visited the White House. They stayed late into the evening. We know that the group discussed a number of dramatic steps, including having the military seize voting machines and potentially rerun elections.
Holy crap.
You will also hear that President Trump met with that group alone for a period of time before White House lawyers and other staff discovered the group was there and rushed to intervene. A little more than an hour after Ms. Powell, Mr. Giuliani, General Flynn, and the others finally left the White House, President Trump sent the tweet on the screen now, telling people to come to Washington on January 6th. Be there, he instructed them. Will be wild.
Okay, Peter Navarro. That's what's in that tweet. See, Peter Navarro releases 36-page report alleging election fraud, more than sufficient to swing victory to Trump. A great report by Peter. Statistically impossible to have lost the 2020 election. Big protest in D.C. on January 6th. Be there, will be wild. That was the day after this December 18th meeting. This tweet is dated 12/19/20 at 1:42 in the morning. In the morning, 1:42 in the morning. The guy is sitting somewhere on a toilet tweeting lies out there to get people all riled up and violent on his behest. And you know that really did happen because that's what Michael Flynn said. We're going to go seize the machines.
The president has to plan for every eventuality because we cannot allow this election and the integrity of our election to go the way it is. I mean, this is just totally unsatisfactory. There's no way in the world that we are going to be able to move forward as a nation with this. So the president has a and I just mentioned one of the options. I mean, he could immediately, on his order, seize every single one of these machines around the country on his order. He could also order within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, these people out there talking about martial law, it's like it's something that we've never done. Martial law has been instituted 64 times.
Can you believe that guy was once our national security advisor? He was fired by Barack Obama because apparently he is a anti-American. Okay, there's something wrong with him. He roots for the other side. It's very sick. So that was what they talked about in the Oval Office. That's what Sidney Powell and Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani, they were going to seize the machines. They were going to deploy the military. Holy crap. You know, we've had this information, but now it all makes sense.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Okay, this was a bombshell right here. This little tiny 16-second clip. Okay? This just blew my mind because this is stuff we did not know. And a lot of what happened last night, we knew, but I had clips of various people saying these things, you know, but this 16 seconds, oh my God, here's something that no one knew. So you know that there was a representative from Pennsylvania, his name's Scott Perry, and he's the one that brought John Eastman, that ridiculous lawyer that put the Green Bay sweep, the idea, right, that you could get Mike Pence to not certify the official certified, by all the states, secretaries of state, governors, legislatures, that you could get Mike Pence to say, I'm not accepting that slate of electors. Instead, I'm choosing some fake slate of electors, right? Which was actually crafted in various states, fake electors who swore under oath that they were the official certified electors for Trump. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy scheme. But Representative Perry is the representative who actually brought John Eastman into the fold to propound, to further this ridiculous, unconstitutional Green Bay sweep, this crazy idea, okay? Apparently what we did not know is that Representative Scott Perry, and here's what the creepy part is, he's still serving. These people are still there. Scott Perry was called out by name last night as being a representative who asked Donald Trump for a pardon because he knew what he was doing was sedition. He knew what he was doing was a high crime, the highest of high crimes. You know, sedition and treason, they're the highest of high crimes. They're not misdemeanors. They're the highest of high crimes. Treason can only be charged in war. Okay, sedition is what we're charging here, is what we're looking at here. And Perry knew that he had engaged in this and asked for a pardon. But what Liz Cheney says here is there are others in the House of Representatives currently serving who took an oath to the Constitution, who asked for a pardon.
Representative Perry contacted the White House in the weeks after January 6th to seek a presidential pardon.
Holy crap.
Multiple other Republican congressmen also sought presidential pardons for their roles in attempting to overturn the 2020 election.
Oh my God. So we're waiting now. Monday is the next hearing. Now, Monday, we're going to hear about the advisors and how, because you have to lay down, like bulletproof facts when you're talking about prosecuting a former president of the United States of America in a criminal setting in this country. It's never happened. So they have to lay down all of these advisors' testimony in front of the American people so that we can really firmly get our brains wrapped around the fact that Donald Trump used deceit and lies to obstruct a congressional proceeding in order to keep himself in power, knowing what he was saying was deceitful, knowing what he was saying was a lie, that he was using deceit, trickery, and means that are dishonest. That is what you have to prove in this particular law. Okay, so Monday we're going to hear that, but I can't wait to hear who the other Congress members are who asked for a presidential pardon post-January 6th. Was it Lauren Boebert, who got caught tweeting out Nancy Pelosi's location? Was it Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was tweeting out 1776, which was based right out of the Proud Boys documents? 1776, it was literally a document that was put together by the Proud Boys to organize the insurrection, to organize the violent part of the coup. We're still talking about the nonviolent part of the coup. So what you have here is a massive plan, okay? First, he was going to spread all of this false and fraudulent information to the American public, just like China White, straight to the vein, for people who believed that either he was lying, but he was lying for them, or people who didn't know the difference between fact and fiction, who wanted to believe that he was gypped, that they were ripped off. Then he corruptly planned to replace the acting attorney general. We didn't even have an attorney general because the attorney general, who was deceitful to begin with, quit. Because even for him, for a lying sack of crap that Bill Barr was, it was a bridge too far. Okay, so then they picked, Jeffrey Rosen as the acting, and they had to pick Jeffrey Rosen as the acting because Trump wanted to pick Jeffrey Clark from the environmental section of DOJ to send letters to the states saying there was concern. There was concern to spread his false election claims into the state. But when everybody threatened to resign en masse, that didn't fly. So then he started to corruptly pressure the vice president to refuse to count the certified electoral votes in violation of the United States Constitution and law, right? And so he starts pressuring Pence and pressuring Pence and And Pence is calling anybody and everybody he can find who he would trust, like a judge named Ludig, who is a real dyed-in-the-wool conservative justice, to ask for his advice on whether or not there was a role for him to play at all on January 6th. And Ludig literally wrote an op-ed in the newspaper warning us that this was going on. Advised Pence, there is no role for you to play except to count the electoral votes. That's it. That's what you do. It's completely ceremonial. You have no authority to do anything different than be a ceremonial head and count the electoral college votes that are certified and submitted to you on January 6th. Then he calls Dan Quayle. And he asked Dan Quayle, well, you were vice president. Do you think that there's any... And Dan Quayle said, no. And they still continue to pressure Mike Pence. And when Pence was indicating to Trump that he wasn't going to go along with it, that he believed there was no role for him to play, then Donald Trump started pressuring state election officials. This is when he calls Georgia. We have that on tape. That alone should have done it. That alone should have started a prosecution. Merrick Garland, call your office. But then he started pressuring state legislators, people that serve in the state houses, to go along. This is where you get guys like Doug Mastriano. Okay, this is where you get some really strange dudes in state legislatures who want to change the election results. Then his legal team, Trump's legal team, and other associates, they instruct Republicans in multiple states to go ahead and create false slates of electors and transmit the false slates, the fake slates, the perjured slates, people who were willing to perjure themselves for this man, to transmit those fake slates to the National Archives, which happens. That happens. That's how we know who these people are. These fake electors were actually, their names were transmitted to the National Archives, where we had to go to court and win the right to have those documents. And the court, when the court ruled on whether or not we had the right to see those documents, those fake slates of electors and other things, the court, the justice in that case, the judge in that case, Carter, said, it is much more likely that Donald Trump violated the law than it is that he didn't. And yeah, you could have these documents. So that's how we found the slates of electors that were fake, because they were transmitted to the National Archives and to Congress. Then, when none of that was working, Donald Trump held a rally. And ahead of the rally, he starts tweeting. He tweets to call the violent ones, to call the crazies, to call the real aggressive Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, 3%ers, a whole host of fringy people in our country who are always spoiling for a fight against this country, always looking for an excuse to overthrow this government or to kill themselves, some people, or to do some damage to the Capitol, or to go hunt Nancy Pelosi, or to hang Mike Pence. Right? And he starts to tweet them, but it happens even before that. It happens even before that. Before he tweets out on December 19th that they should come to D.C. because it will be wild. Do you remember that there was also a presidential debate in between all this? Where the Proud Boys were known violent people. They were known. And the Proud Boys were part of the Portland riots. The Proud Boys were responsible for a whole host of violent activities. And when Donald Trump was asked to denounce their violent activities in a presidential debate, he said, give me a name. Give me, who are you talking about? What white supremacists? What male chauvinist group? What group are you talking about? What domestic terrorists are you talking about? And he said, Proud Boys. I think it was Chris Wallace said to him, so the Proud Boys. Donald Trump said, oh, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. That apparently was enough for them to go to their posts in their minds and organize themselves.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
You will hear that President Trump was yelling and, quote, really angry at advisors who told him he needed to be doing something more. And aware of the rioters' chance to hang Mike Pence, the president responded with this sentiment, quote, maybe our supporters have the right idea. Mike Pence, quote, deserves it.
Quote. This is not an unnamed source. This is somebody said this under oath to the point where Liz Cheney could present it in an opening statement last night, telling us what she is able to prove happened between the election in November and January 6th. And that it's ongoing. The whole coup thing is still going on, and you've got, an inordinate amount of people in this country. Yes, they are a minority, but they are dangerous, and they are fueled, and they are filled with hatred for this country and everything that it stands for, to the point where they will do violence. They are willing to do violent things. They are willing to overthrow the government. They are willing to, do lawless things, aggressive things, in order to get their way. It's really sick and sad, but she said it was a quote, those people are doing the right thing, chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence deserves it. This is the president of the free world saying this about his friend and compadre, Mike Pence. Oh my God. And this is after they had tried everything that you could possibly try that was deceitful, that was evil, that was underhanded, that was ugly, that was fake and fraudulent. And none of it was working. None of it was actually working, except with some people in the United States believing these lies. And like I said, I think some people in this country knew he was lying, but they thought he was lying for them. And so they said, well, he's a liar. Yeah, but he's my liar. He's doing this for us. He's doing this for old, pasty white men who are afraid of everybody and everything that is America. Afraid it didn't work out for them. Afraid and resentful that somebody else might get something that they didn't get. And we have to stop them from getting something that I didn't get. But in the end, I think they all found out that they would be served up on a platter too, because over 800 of them have been arrested and prosecuted. Dozens of them are facing charges of seditious conspiracy. I mean, Stuart Rhodes is sitting in federal prison. Enrique Tarrio and like 6 other henchmen of his, they're sitting in federal prisons. 9 people died as a result of this. 150 police officers were wounded, and you still have people in this country that want to believe so bad that all of this was for them. All of this was for them. And so they will say, what about Portland? Leaving out the part where the Proud Boys were on the rooftops with sniper rifles. Leaving out the white supremacists that, knocked over the AutoZone and started the looting in Detroit at the Black Lives Matter protests. Leaving aside the fact that there were like 8,300 protests in this country, and 5 of them turned violent. And it seems like wherever the violence happened, prosecutions also occurred, but there was interference, violent intervention. This is so needed. This explanation, this truth, this fact-finding is so needed right now. Because, and look who's doing it. I mean, you have one of the most conservative, uber conservative people in the world, Liz Cheney, somebody I would disagree with on everything except for what does the Constitution say? What does it provide for in an election? What are the procedures and what is the requirement of a United States president after he loses a free and fair election and the electors are certified and submitted to Congress? On January 20th, what does the losing president have to do in America? He has to peacefully transfer power to the winner of that election. Well, you know that they thought that Donald Trump was so dangerous in between the loss of the election and January 20th that the cabinet, oh yeah, that's why Betsy DeVos, I don't know if you know this, yesterday she spoke out. Yesterday she said, this is why I resigned. I had to leave. Elaine Chao, who's Mitch McConnell's wife, who was the Secretary of Transportation, apparently that cabinet were all talking about using the 25th Amendment to remove Donald Trump after the election. And, we were sitting here saying, why in the world would you want to remove the president who is a lame duck president who's on his way out the door anyway and isn't going to be president on January 20th? Why would you do that? They thought he was so dangerous that he had to be removed by a constitutional procedure, invoking the 25th Amendment, which, the cabinet has to invoke it. The people around him have to invoke it. The people he appointed have to invoke it. And then 2/3 of the House and Senate have to agree to, and so they didn't think that they had a shot at it, but they all resigned en masse. They all left to try and send us a message. This guy is bat crap and he's dangerous. Dangerous. And they all knew it was going to happen. This is what's so disingenuous about Betsy DeVos and about Elaine Chao. They all knew it was going to happen because it was announced that it was going to happen the day before. Well, days before. I've played you this a million times. This is Stuart Rhodes on Alex Jones' show saying that he had pre-positioned these rapid strike forces across the Potomac River. And on Donald Trump's word, they would go all violent. They would start shooting. They would start a shooting war.
So what we're doing is we have men already stationed outside D.C. as a nuclear option. In case they attempt to remove the president illegally, we will step in and stop it. And we're going to be there to also help secure the coming rally this Saturday and your caravan coming in. So I've got good men on the ground already. We've did a lead recon there last week, and we're sorting out what we're going to be staging, and we'll be there. We'll be inside D.C. We'll also be on the outside of D.C. armed, prepared to go in
if the president asks us to. That's what they were waiting for, the president to ask them to. And the day before, Bannon said on his stupid little Rumble show, okay,
all hell is going to break loose tomorrow.
And it has to be vindicated to save our republic.
We will win this fight, or America will step off into 1,000 years of darkness.
The battle cries wrapped in their delusional lies about a stolen election. Steve Bannon, whose Twitter and YouTube channels were removed for rhetoric like this,
I'd put the heads on pikes.
Spent weeks on a podcast he calls The War Room, comparing the Republicans' fight to overturn a legitimate election to historic periods in the American Revolution and World War II.
I've met so many people through my life said, man, if I was a revolution, I would be with Washington and Trenton. Well, this is for your time in history.
They knew. They all knew. They were broadcasting it like plain as day. And we were collecting all of these admissions, all of these, pronunciations, all of these announcements of violence to come. All hell's going to break loose tomorrow. All hell's going to break loose. I got forces. We did recon last week. I got forces. I'll be up there on Saturday. I got, weapons on the other side of the Potomac River. It's a nuclear option. The president calls us. We'll go in blazing. We'll go in there and we'll just slaughter everybody if they try to remove this president. What the F, man? How in the world do people actually go, what about Portland? Property crime? Really? Looting?
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
My name is Marcus Childress, and I'm an investigative counsel for the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol.
What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
white like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
After he made this comment, Enrique Terrio, then chairman of the Proud Boys, said on Parler, "Standing by, sir." During our investigation, we learned that this comment during the presidential debate actually led to an increase in membership from the Proud Boys.
Would you say that Proud Boys numbers increased after the stand back, stand by comment?
Exponentially. I'd say tripled probably, with the potential for a lot more eventually.
And did you ever sell any stand back and stand by merchandise?
One of the vendors on my page actually beat me to it, but I wish I would have made a stand back, stand by shirt.
On December 19th, President Trump tweeted about the January 6th rally and told attendees, "Be there, we'll be wild." Many of the witnesses that we interviewed were inspired by the president's call and came to D.C. for January 6th. But the extremists, they took it a step further. They viewed this tweet as a call to arms. A day later, the Department of Justice describes how the Proud Boys created a chat called the Ministry of Self-Defense Leadership Chat. In this chat, the Proud Boys established a command structure in anticipation of coming back to D.C. on January 6th. The Department of Justice describes Mr. Tarrio coming into possession of a document called the 1776 Returns, which describes individuals occupying key buildings around the United States Capitol.
I mean, and then all of a sudden, Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're all tweeting 1776, this is it. This is 1776, which was the organizing document for violence at the Capitol on January 6th. I mean, what? Marcus Childress apparently was an investigative counsel hired by the January 6th committee to find out about the Proud Boys, to just look into the Proud Boys and into the Oath Keepers. That was the Proud Boys portion. Here's the Oath Keepers portion.
The goal was for the Oath Keepers to be called to duty so that they could keep the president in power, although President Trump had just lost the election.
Oh my God.
The committee learned that the Oath Keepers set up quick reaction forces outside of the city in Virginia where they stored arms. The goal of these quick reaction forces was to be on standby just in case President Trump invoked the Insurrection Act.
Did the Oath Keepers ever provide weapons to members?
I'm going to decline to answer that and put them at grounds for due process grounds.
In footage obtained by the committee, we learned that on the night of January 5th, Enrique Tarrio and Stuart Rhodes met in a parking garage in Washington, D.C.
There's mutual respect there. I think we're fighting the same fight, and I think that's what's important.
The committee learned that the Oath Keepers went into the Capitol through the east doors in two stack formations. The DOJ alleges that one of the stacks went into the Capitol looking for Speaker Pelosi, although they never found her. As the attack was unfolding, Mr. Tarrio took credit. In documents obtained by the Department of Justice, Mr. Tarrio said in an encrypted chat, "Make no mistake, and we did this." Later on that evening, Mr. Tarrio even posted a video which seemed to resemble him in front of the Capitol with a black cape. And the title of the video was Premonition.
These are some really violent, aggressive, sick freaks who really hate this country. They do. They hate it. They hate law. They hate order. They hate, due process. They want to be in power for the sake of being in power. They want to operate like a mafia, give protection to Goodfellas, give protection to other white supremacists. This is why they crave power. This is what they want to use their power for, simply for protection of people who want to pick off people they disagree with through the use of violence. It's what they want to do with the power because, I don't know that they're going to, get into this. I hope they do. Like, why did they want to retain power for themselves? What would they have used this power for? If Donald Trump was an autocrat, if Donald Trump has succeeded in any of these non-bloody ways of rigging an election, if we would have found, a Secretary of State or three that were willing to play ball with Donald Trump, that were willing to, say that they wouldn't certify their elections, or, if Raffensperger was shaken up by a call that Donald Trump made saying, I just need to find 11,890 votes, just one more than Joe Biden got. If we would have had lesser people, and this has nothing to do with their politics, okay? Just lesser people, meaning people of low character, a little lower, right? And they were willing to say, ooh, there's power in this for me, right? And I can elevate myself. What would they have used that power for under an autocratic system with a dictator? Protection. That's all that's left, is to protect your ill-gotten gains. That's it. And, this is what the Proud Boys thought was in it for them. They thought that they would have power to protect themselves from wanting to pick off people by force and violence that they disagreed with. Same with the Oath Keepers. It's what Stuart Rhodes has always wanted. The only reason why they didn't bring weapons into D.C. ahead of Donald Trump declaring martial law or the Insurrection Act, where Donald Trump would have been the dictator, he would have been the law. The only reason why they didn't bring the weapons in was probably to protect themselves from gun charges, okay, because D.C. has very stringent gun laws, and B, they felt that they couldn't get past the checkpoints, as minimal as they were. There were National Guardsmen who were stationed, they were doing traffic because we had an acting Secretary of Defense too, right? We had Chris Miller, and he wrote a memo to the National Guard saying, you will not be armed, you will do traffic duty, blah, 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 stand down. It was a smoking gun memo. So they probably felt like they could not get the weapons into D.C. unmolested, that they would have been, captured or arrested or prevented from even getting to the Capitol if they had had weapons on them. So they stored them across the Potomac River with a rapid response force that knew how to get the weapons across the river if Donald Trump declared a martial law or was going to use the Insurrection Act to keep himself in power, which he did not do. And in fact, he let them all go to jail, and they're all facing seditious conspiracy charges in federal courts now. Crazy. This is madness. This is not America. This is like a banana republic. It's a third world country. Because we had a despot. We had a tin pot dictator as a president of the United States. And some of us knew it early on. Others of us still don't want to come around to that conclusion. Because they believe whatever is broadcast on, whatever makes them feel powerful or feel a certain way. That's what they want to believe, regardless of what the evidence actually shows is true facts. And then the other people, really, I swear to God, I think they thought, well, yeah, he's lying, and yeah, he's evil, and yeah, he's, aggressive and violent, and yeah, he will, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, and I'd still vote for him because he shot that person for me. For me.
To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. All right. It's a freaky Friday, everybody, but it's also part of our summer pledge drive here at Free Speech TV. So please, if you can support independent media, please do so today because it is a match day, which means whatever you donate, $10 becomes $20, $20 becomes $40, on and on it goes. $100 becomes $200, $1,000 becomes $2,000, up to $50,000. Now, for $30 or more to the first 66 callers, we have a little roll of toilet paper that's got Donald Trump's puss on it, and you can use it to wipe your bunda or other various body parts. And we would be happy to let that go to you for $30 or more if you call 877-378-8669. If you'd rather do it online, visit us at freespeech.org. And for $50, we'll send you a superhero tote bag, which you could see right there. For $20, we will be happy to send you a Pride Coolsy to keep your beverages cool and comfortable in the hot summer months. Whatever you can do, we thank you in advance. Have a great weekend if you're checking out now. But before you do, please do make a little donation. $5 Friday is good too, because your $5 on Fridays becomes $10 today because it's a match day. Okay. Brother David.
Happy, frantic, fumbling, fragmenting, fascist Friday, sister.
Back at you.
Last night was but the first domino.
I don't even think people understand that was just the opening statements. That's all that was. That's not even the prosecution. It hasn't begun. And how idiotic those Republicans are because they're boycotting it. And that means that they don't get to question the witnesses.
Ding, 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 ding.
They're morons.
And Liz Cheney was the mic drop of the decade, if not this young century.
So, Liz Cheney is out there all alone with the Constitution. That's
totally.
It. That's all she's got. She's got no party backing. She doesn't have a prayer of winning Wyoming.
Nope.
No, she's just out there with the Constitution, and that's it.
And, like you, in 1,000 years, I never thought I would ever say this, but my admiration and respect for her is like nothing this morning that it's ever been.
Just on this one
That's
issue.
all there is. That's what we are all here for.
Listen, on this one issue, hats off to her. I salute her just because, if I had to be in a constitutional foxhole with somebody, I would want it to be somebody of her caliber, somebody who is as good as she was last night. But, listen, she voted with Donald Trump, 92%
Way too many.
of the time.
No, I get it. I come here not to bury her, but to praise her, but I also don't defend. But at the same time, it's,
yeah, and in that
this is the base issue, people.
It is. This is really as low as we ever want to go, and in that regard, thank you to Mike Pence for upholding the Constitution, and thank you to Liz Cheney for fighting on behalf of a democratic republic.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we can keep it.
Yes.
Constitutional Republican, if you can keep it. Thank you, Ben. Hi, chat room. You know what to do. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
And it's Judy Garland's 100th birthday.
100.
She would have been the queen mom today.
Oh, my God. How old was she when she died? Do you know?
56.
That's
young.
it? Oh, God.
Something like that, She wasn't even 60 yet.
She looked at 100.
Yeah, she looked 100. Exactly.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Yeah.
Well, every full moon, you go out and you look at the moon when it's at full wax, and it is literally the silhouette that's in the little gobo on the Carnegie Hall album.
Is that right?
In the moon. Oh, yeah. When the moon's clear.
I had
Judy's
no
in the
idea. I've just become gayer.
Well, see? That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
There are still more of us, sister.
Yes, there are. You know how many people watched last night?
I
20 million. We had a shared experience, brother. A shared experience here in these United States.
And we ain't seen nothing yet.
Yep, I know. So Monday, make your plans. Monday, 10 o'clock is going to be, phase 2. This is when the actual case gets prosecuted. All we saw last night, and it was breathtaking. And I will say, kudos to the production team, because finally, Congress has realized that they could use world-class production values, and all they needed was somebody to cut the video and put it on a big screen and use the words that were said out loud and under oath in this case, because they had access to that, which we don't, and put it up for the American people to hear for themselves. I will say one little piece of advice, and I know that these are world-class producers, don't want to step on anybody's toes here. But could you move the teleprompter to under the camera, not beside the camera? Because they're looking over here to read the teleprompter. It's a little off-putting, and it's not as ingenuous. If there's a word as disingenuous, there must be a word as ingenuous, right? Genuine. It would be much better if Liz Cheney, if Benny Thompson, if Jamie Raskin, who's going to question witnesses, if Miss Luria, if the people on the committee who work so hard to bring forth this evidence, to depose 1,000 witnesses, and the production team that is working feverishly to cut those depositions. Some of them, Ivanka's went on for 8 hours. Now imagine cutting 8 hours of video to make it usable for the American public. I mean, just that one, there were 1,000 witnesses. So this was a heavy lift, okay? People worked their tails off to bring this story to life for Americans to understand what happened. So just move the teleprompter under the camera is all. That would be my only criticism of that production last night. It's fun. What have I been saying? Why doesn't Congress use video clips? Why don't they do that? So now they do. So that's good. It was world class. It was really well done. Mike in Chicago.
Randi Rhodes, it's been many, many, many years I've been listening to you when you were on Air America.
That's a long time.
And I was listening to you on a station that was progressive here in Chicago, and
WCPT, yeah.
Yes, and
they kicked me off because I wasn't sufficiently. Oh,
Years
yes. We were on WLS, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And they went right wing since you've been gone.
I know they have. And WCPT kicked me off because I wasn't sufficiently loyal to Hillary Clinton.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. That's why I'm not on there.
Well, I got...
Yes? Hello? All right then, Mike. This was your moment to shine. I think your chin hit the...
You just stole right out of my brain.
Oh, yeah.
I think his chin or something hit the mute button. He had no clue.
Yeah, it happens. Now he'll pocket dial us. Anyway, that's what Howard does. But you can call us back. We'll take your call, Mike. We don't have very much time. We're almost to the end of the show. But remember, jot it down. Monday's hearing will be at 10 a.m., not in prime time. I suspect the networks aren't willing to give up revenue to preserve democracy. Just suspect that.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Are there going to be witnesses that describe actual conversations between these extremist groups and anyone in Trump's orbit?
Yes.
There will be?
Yes.
Damn. That was pretty direct. You never get a direct answer from a member of Congress. That was Benny Thompson, the chairman of the January 6th Investigative Committee, saying that, yes, when we see the case in chief, all we saw was opening statements so far, but when we see the case in chief and the prosecution actually begins for the benefit of us, we're the jury, we are, then we will see direct evidence that shows that Donald Trump and his crew, whether it was Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, who obviously knew what was going on, knew what was going down, knew it was going to be violent, knew all hell was going to break loose tomorrow, knew everything about it. But Flynn knew, everybody knew. But that there was direct evidence that links Donald Trump to the Oath Keepers and to the Proud Boys, to Enrique Tarrio and to Stuart Rhodes. Now, we do know that Stuart Rhodes, one guy who was arrested and is, I guess he pled guilty, and on condition of his plea deal, he had to cough up the fact that Stuart Rhodes had called one of the president's aides and asked to have the president of the United States, Donald Trump, get on the phone so that Stuart Rhodes could find out whether or not it was going to involve weapons. Do you remember that? That was part of a plea deal that was achieved with somebody who is facing seditious conspiracy charges, and they pled guilty. And during their plea deal, they vomited up this little factoid. So, Roger Stone was protected by the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. I was just watching, for those of you who watch on YouTube, you see the commercials that I see. Because we generate those. The free speech TV people, they insert their own stuff. So there's a difference in the breaks. But I just was watching on our YouTube channel the Rick Scott Lincoln Project piece about the, Republican is going to save you by raising your taxes plan, the 11-point plan to save, And Rick Scott is prominent in that ad. So you know what I came across today? First of all, I need you to know this. In Miami, in Miami, which is a reliably blue portion of Florida. It's been taken over. The GOP, the executive committee in Florida, in Miami, has been taken over by Enrique Tarrio and the Proud Boys. They hold 6 seats on the executive committee of the official GOP, of the official Republican Party's executive committee. Now, Enrique Tarrio is cooling his heels in a federal prison, accused of, facing charges of seditious conspiracy against his own country. And he and his crew are on the executive committee, so they are the GOP. You understand that the Republican Party is a white supremacist organization at this point, at least here in Florida. That's why Ron DeSantis is as crazy as Ron DeSantis is. But Rick Scott, who was our governor and is now our senator, God help us, there's photographs of him with Enrique Tarrio. They all hang out with the Proud Boys, all these Republicans. And now they've officially taken their seats on the executive committee in various Republican executive committees. You know, they ran for office in Kansas, one of them, Proud Boy, but they lost. Oregon, same thing. Portland. People always want to throw Portland. I wonder if you know that the Proud Boys are literally running for office in Portland, that they're running for office in Kansas, that they're running for office in California, Northern California. They're running for office here in Miami. Seriously. Oh, I'm going to show you this one. This is a guy who's running for Michigan governor. His name's Ryan Kelly. He was just arrested for his part in the January 6th insurrection. Here he is.
Come on, let's go. This is war, baby.
That's it.
It's a revolution.
The guy who said this is war, baby, this is an effing revolution, he was running for governor of Michigan, and he just got arrested yesterday for this. Ryan Kelly is his name. And then, you know, in Michigan, you had a whole bunch of people who were trying to run, who got on the ballot, right? And then it turned out that when they canvassed the signatures that are required to get yourself on the ballot in Michigan, 5 of the candidates had fraudulent signatures. 5, and not just 1 or 2 fraudulent. One of them, who was complaining, he was on Fox News the other day. I had the clip. I didn't pull it today because I had like 40 clips today. But you know, you probably remember this. He was complaining that there were a couple of he had 36 pages, entire pages of fraudulent signatures, and now he's thrown off the ballot. 5 candidates had that happen to them in Michigan. They're infiltrating the government like the rats they are, like the roaches they are. They're literally scurrying into, and this is who's doing the school board stuff, right? This is who's doing the CRT stuff. This is who's, accosting, various local offices in your town. This is what Trump, this is his legacy. Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, 3%ers, all attacking school marms for something that isn't happening. They're all going to solve problems we don't have. It's a culture war, everybody. And it's turned into a shooting war. And that is the sick, sad truth of how the GOP evolved. I don't know what Newt Gingrich thought would happen. I don't know what the Tea Party thought would happen. I don't know what the Mercers thought would happen. I don't know. I mean, I do know what Steve Bannon was hoping would happen. He wants violence. This man is just he's a thug. That's the only word that I could use for him. He's a lying sack of crap. Tucker Carlson, he's all about Viktor Orban and Hungary and authoritarianism, okay? He thinks he's going to be like the chosen broadcaster when we only have the one channel. Did you see him last night by any chance? This is really sick.
You know, it tells you a lot about the priorities of our ruling class that the rest of us are getting yet another lecture about January 6th tonight from our moral inferiors, no less. An outbreak of mob violence, a forgettably minor outbreak by recent standards that took place more than a year and a half ago, but they've never stopped talking about it. In the meantime, in the 18 months since January 6th, gas prices have doubled. Drug ODs have reached their highest point ever. The U.S. economy is now careening toward a devastating recession at best. And scariest and least noted of all, this country has never in its history been closer to a nuclear war.
What?
Yet the other networks cannot be bothered to cover any of that tonight.
What, tonight?
Instead, they've interrupted their regularly scheduled programming to bring you yet another extended primetime harangue from Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney about Donald Trump and QAnon.
9 people died, 150 police officers were injured, 5 police officers died subsequent to the Capitol riot. Dozens are facing charges of seditious conspiracy. 800 people have been arrested, plus. It's a bigger number than 800, but I'll just say 800 to be conservative. And listen, the gas price thing, that has nothing to do with President Biden. That is a global thing. You know in Hong Kong what they pay for a gallon of gas today? Over $11, okay? Most of the world is paying $9, $10, $11 for it. This is gouging. And I don't ever want to hear any Republican ever step up to another microphone and leave out the little factoid, the inconvenient truth, that when we had an anti-gouging bill put on the floor of the House of Representatives that passed, okay, every Republican voted against it and it died in the Senate. I don't ever want to hear a peep out of any Republican about windfall profits tax. This is why I wore Elizabeth Warren's T-shirt today. She is trying to hold, at least in America, big oil and gas accountable for the profiteering that is going on, that is breaking our backs, that is literally eating into this little bit of growth that we saw in our wages over the last year. A windfall profits tax, at least in the United States of America, would keep American oil companies from being able to gouge us because they would end up owing more than they would profiteer off of us in math and in the real world. And I'm not talking about, you're not allowed to make a profit. I'm saying that if last year you made like $5 billion, but this year you made 20, that's a windfall, and that would be taxed accordingly. So bite me with your, they don't want to talk about this. You don't want to talk about this. You don't want to do anything about this. You want it to continue so you can win in the midterms, even if it means pain for families who are trying to raise their children, drive them to school, and maybe have a week of summer vacation. Have a good weekend. Monday, 10 o'clock.